All right, what's going on, guys? Welcome to Behind the Grind. So, I was pretty bored at work today, and something came to my attention that I figured I really wanted to make a video about. And well, the thought of a Plague Marine in Darktide came to my head, and I've been thinking about it all day. And I figured I'd turn on the mic and kind of talk to everybody about whether or not I think a Plague Marine boss would be pretty cool to see in Warhammer 40k Darktide, and whether or not we would be able to take it down as a group. As you guys already know, we fight a lot of tough enemies in Darktide. However, the Plague Marine as a boss or a mini boss has been the subject of debate for a couple of years now since the game first came out. And well, we're just going to go ahead and lay it all out on the table and really talk about it in this video. So before we begin, I want to ask you to please consider liking the video and subscribing to the channel. Also, let's take a moment to thank our channel members for supporting the Behind the Grind YouTube channel. Joining will give you access to some cool perks like adding me as a friend and playing some cool games together. Your help means a lot, and if you're interested in being a channel member, check out the information in the description down below. Thank you. With all that out of the way, let's go ahead and talk about, could a Plague Marine boss work in Warhammer 40k Darktide? Okay, so to kick this off, it's important to know the context of this debate as a whole. Back when the game first released in 2022, it was made pretty clear by the developers that they had no intentions of adding Space Marines as a playable class or Space Marines as an enemy. However, the game has been out for 3 years. Opinions change here and there. The needs and wants of the community obviously are communicated through the forums, and if there's one thing that's been talked about for a really long time now, it's whether or not Plague Marines should be in Darktide. Now, as the group of rejects that we play as in Warhammer 40k Darktide, we really face up against some horrifying and terrifying beasts of Nurgle, some Chaos Spawn, some Plague Ogryn, some Demon Hosts, some really big and tough enemies that, you know, regular guardsmen would have a really tough time fighting up against. And you know, we can take these guys down in this game. I mean, this game isn't completely 100% lore accurate. I mean, I've seen a lot of comments and a lot of replies in the comment section as a whole, and even some chat entries whenever I'm live streaming of people telling me that the game wouldn't make sense as a whole because a regular person would just crumble under the corruption of Nurgle just being in the presence of all of this chaos corruption in Darktide. So the game obviously isn't 100% lore accurate, so we can kind of suspend our disbelief if it makes for good gameplay. And once again, we face a lot of really tough enemies in Warhammer 40k Darktide, bro. Like, I remember the first time I faced up against a beast of Nurgle, and I was like, bro, what the fuck is that, yo? And, you know, working as a team and everybody putting down their base of fire and buffing your comrades, eventually you can take down the beast of Nurgle. And the same goes for Chaos Spawn, the Plague Ogryn, and Demon Hosts. Now, in Space Marine 2, we actually do face up against a demon host in one of the missions. Granted, you're not directly killing it, you're just kind of disabling its little altars or whatever to damage it and to send it back to the warp. However, the Chaos Spawn will be coming to Space Marine 2 pretty soon here, as it was leaked. I do have a video that I made about that if you want to go ahead and check out the Chaos Spawn that is coming to Space Marine 2. So we're already kind of establishing something here that just really lays down the foundation for a Plague Marine in Darktide. It is possible because, well, you got these Astartes that take out a bunch of Chaos Space Marines in Space Marine 2. However, I mean, as the rejects in Darktide, we take out enemies of similar strength. I mean, I've read that in the lore, a Plague Ogryn is a pretty tough 1v1 up against a regular Space Marine. And, you know, like, we take them out, not like they're like a walk in the park. We have to work together as a team and really lay down a lot of damage to kill it. Same goes for the other 3 big enemies. However, at the end of the day, you can still kill the damn thing. So I gotta ask, make sure to let me know in the comment section down below. Is it really that crazy that a Plague Marine could be added into Warhammer 40k Darktide? Go ahead and let me know what you guys think. Personally, I don't think it's that crazy. And another part of this conversation is, let's say we do get past of whether or not it could work in Darktide as a whole. Now let's talk about how it could work. So in my personal opinion, I think the Plague Marine would be best used not necessarily as a boss in which you create a entire mission around this boss, and the whole point of the mission is to go in and complete an objective, and all of a sudden you find a scripted part of the mission in which you face up against a Chaos Space Marine, a Death Guard Plague Marine, or any other kind of Plague Marine. Not all Plague Marines are from the Death Guard, but anyways, just go ahead and think about, like, you start a mission and, you know, it's scripted. It's not a random spawn. I don't necessarily think that that kind of boss would work. I wouldn't want a mission in which you only fight the Plague Marine and you can only fight that Plague Marine in that specific mission. I think the best way to implement a Plague Marine in Darktide would be to implement it as a mini boss, and this mini boss will obviously be not as common as Beasts of Nurgle or Plague Ogrins or Chaos Spawn or Demon Hosts. Maybe they could be on the same level as like a Demon Host in terms of strength, not necessarily in the way that they're placed throughout the map, because you guys already know that Demon Hosts are just kind of like chilling there. You don't need any of that kind of stuff. What I'm trying to say is you have this Plague Marine that is extremely tough. It's stronger than everything else on this list, and well, it just kind of shows up in the middle of a mission when things kind of quiet down. You don't necessarily need to add some adjacent units to help that Plague Marine fight you. It could be a 4v1. I mean, if they really wanted to switch it up, they could just add some Poxwalkers here and there to just kind of be annoying, so that way you can at least get some toughness back if you're killing them with like melee weapons. However, I think the 4v1 up against a Plague Marine would work pretty well. Now, whether or not this boss can mutate or it has like a second phase or something like that is also an interesting conversation to be had. What do you guys think? Should a Plague Marine be best used as a level-specific boss or as a mini-boss? Like I already said, man, I love my Plague Marines, bro, and like, if I were able to fight up against a Plague Marine in Darktide, I think that'd be pretty awesome. I mean, the rest of the Death Guard is already here for the most part, you know. It's nothing crazy. It could just be like a random friggin' Plague Marine. To me personally, it just doesn't seem like that big of a deal. However, it could just be one of those things that is in service for the fans. Like, that's 100% Warhammer 40k fan service right there. Not that it's necessarily going to switch everything up and, oh, it's going to be this big addition to the game, but it's just something for the fans that I really think would be pretty cool, and it's something that I would personally like to see, man. So to really end this all out, I just want to know what you guys are thinking. Do you guys think that the Plague Marine has a place in Darktide? And if so, how would you implement it as an enemy? Would you make it a main level boss, or would you use it as a mini boss? Go ahead and let me know in the comments section down below, and that's pretty much all I got for the video. If you enjoyed, please consider giving it a like and subscribing to the channel for more content. Also, if you wish to support the channel further, I'd encourage you to join the channel membership for exclusive perks. Thanks. This has been Behind the Grind, talking about the Plague Marines and Darktide debate. And I'll catch you on the next one. Peace!